Hey everybody, it's Herb, the New Yorker in Knoxville. Hope everyone is healthy and happy. Just another garden update. It's got really nice this week. We had weather in the 80s. Today it's a little cooler, it's still in the 70s, and just a beautiful sunny day out. Earlier in the week we had a lot of rain, which was perfect because I am using those seedling pots that basically you plant in the ground so that you don't have to transplant anything. So I wanted to get those pots nice and wet so that so that they would be nice and soft for when I plant them, and that would give an opportunity for all my starts to keep setting root in through the pot and into the soil. So what I did, I kept an eye on things. I was discouraged last week because it looked like the animals were getting into my plants and chewing on them. But what's good is that the sunchokes look like they're recovering pretty strongly. And my seedlings started to get very big. So I just got everything in the ground today. So I'm going to show you that real quick. Okay, so now that everything's in the ground, I had a combination of pine straw and leaf mulch that I decided to cover the ground with. Now that the plants are tall enough and they're getting sun and they're already in the dirt where they need to be, to help with weed suppression, to keep the soil moist, and also hopefully this pine straw will also be a slug deterrent. I wanted to get that on the ground any place that there aren't plants coming up. And so now what you see is that anything that is meant to be here is in a little what looks like a crater, because that's the only spot I want anything to grow, is where my plants are. So it seems that the animals are respecting my fence, which is great. Now we can get along very nicely. We seem to have come to some sort of arrangement. So I'm just going to show you kind of the layout. My concern still is that the beans might be growing so fast that they outpace the sunchokes, which, if you've been following, the whole original purpose of this was to do with three sisters, where the sunchoke would be the trellis, the beans would climb up the trellis, and then the squash would cover the ground. I don't know if they're going to work together or they're just going to grow next to each other. If it continues to look like the beans are outpacing the sunchokes, I'll probably put some bamboo in here to use as like little teepees so that they have something to grow on independent of how fast the sunchokes grow. All right, but what I did is the sunchokes are recovering nicely. That's this one right here. Okay, and even though they've been chewed on, they're starting to grow some new leaves and they're starting to come back out of the ground. So I'm pleased to see that. I planted the beans, those are the beans, the scarlet runner beans, close enough where they could find the sunchokes if they wind up using them as a trellis. But then, if not, they're far enough away where I can put some teepees around and have nothing interfere with each other. Okay, and then here are the squash. This is the fig leaf squash, or also known as the shark fin melon, and I give those a little bit room, about 18 inches apart between each one. They're in the center of my garden, and I'm giving them room so they can basically sprawl around the other plants that grow taller. Okay, so you'll see that the beans are somewhat proximal to the sunchokes, and they're more they're more scattered, I should say, throughout the garden. And then I have a line of those squash at the center, which I'm hoping will sprawl outward. Okay, so everything's looking strong, it's looking healthy. What I'm hoping is that this mulch will keep the clay soil nice and moist, because the more moist the soil is, the looser it stays for hopefully the plants to expand their roots. okay? And also, just to keep the weeds down, I had to take a fair bit of weeds out of here because I had, up until this point, the mulch had not been set down. I'm hoping that now that it is down, the weeding will be kept to a minimal. And then I'm going to do what I used to do in New York, which is, this is going to be kind of where I throw my kitchen scraps and things like that, because they will just add to that sheet mulching and break down over time and leach their nutrients into the soil so that the plants are well fed. I'm going to keep putting my lawn clippings in here. I'm going to keep putting food scraps in here. I'm going to keep putting coffee grounds in here. When we get a fire pit, I'm going to put some wood ash in here. Just keep feeding this garden, but by layering rather than amending it into the soil. So hopefully this is a good start. We've been getting a fair amount of rain, usually over the night, and then it gets nice and sunny once it warms up. So I hope that trend continues. My potato plants are looking much stronger, most of them anyway. I am probably going to have to start mounding them soon. Especially the ones in the bags are probably because they just have a little more room to grow. But anyway, I am excited because I think everything that has struggled early on seems to be recovering. The potatoes are looking stronger, the sunchokes are coming back. My onions are like impervious. They haven't been bothered by any of the crazy weather, any of the hail, anything that we've been getting so far. And they keep getting taller. I'm hoping to see some bulbils soon within the next month, because then I can make more onion plants. And the only thing I got a late start on that I still would like to do is maybe set up a couple of pots with some herbs, some dill, and I think I have rosemary, basil, things like that. So, but that's not as high on my priority list. So anyway, the garden is much stronger. It's got a nice perimeter. All the plants are in the ground. Everything is looking healthy. And just one more thing. I left this one weaker scarlet runner bean seedling out. I have enough plants in the ground, and this one seemed to be the weakest out of all of them. But you can see how this is already starting to like dissolve basically, and that's great because it means that this is going to continue to break down, and it's going to allow the roots to expand outside of this pot. So far I'm pleased with what I'm seeing as far as these pots that are designed to just be part of the planting process. All right, well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Please comment. Let me know if you have any ideas. I love to hear feedback. Let me know what you're doing with your garden this year. And always, as always, we're very grateful if you subscribe, like, share, all that. So please stay healthy, and God bless.